गुड इवनिंग एंड वेलकम टू गाना शॉट। गाना शॉट में आप सबका स्वागत है। Great day today. A big stock market crash. Right, we'll get to that. But today we're going to talk about the fact, will USA attack Iran? That's probably the $1 million question at this point of time. And why do I say will USA attack Iran? It is because of the simple reason that in all this chaos which is happening, you know, Iran stands out as an island which is not involved in all this, and it could just be facing an attack. Okay, that's how I look at it. And let's get ahead with today's whatever we're going to talk of. And we'll talk of a few things, very interesting things. Okay, the first, today has been a great stock market crash over the past 2 days, and more is to come. If I look at it, you see this figures. Hong Kong is down 13%, and China is down 7 to 8%. In fact, one index has gone down. Shenzhen has gone down to 9% plus. They're bleeding. There's blood overall in the stock markets, and those of you who are invested in markets will understand. Some will be licking their fingers. ये मौका आ गया कि स्टॉक नीचे गया खरीदो. But look at it from a different point of view. We're not talking of that. What does this tell you? Let's look at it geopolitically. What does this tell you? Countries which were over dependent on trade with USA, who are manufacturing and sending everything to USA, completely integrated with the globalized system, they've been hit. It actually tells you how dependent you are on USA, depending on where you are ranked here. Look at this. Here, India, the stock market went down only 4%. In fact, not 4%. By the time the markets closed, it went down only 3.2%. Some recovery also has taken place. So that tells you how dependent India is on USA. If suppose tomorrow something happens in China, we'll be even more independent. So it actually tells us there is a certain amount of insulation from these large things which are happening. People who are more globalized, are hit. If I say that's the minimum thing. Okay. So in this kind of a thing, is there reason to think positively? I think there is. It tells you something. Because stock markets don't tell you the whole story, but this overall it's barometric effect. It tells you that India is in a good spot amongst this tariff story. Yeah, you'll find on Twitter people talking of what the Prime Minister is doing. He's doing nothing. The opposition is up in arms. People saying he's not saying anything. Yeah, what does he have to say? He has to say nothing actually. Okay. And tariffs are going to hit our exporters. Yeah, well, all that is chatter. So let's analyze this. If you analyze it, a story emerges, and that story is what we're going to discuss. And of course, we'll get to Iran a little later. Okay. Now, this is what Mr. Donald Trump has put out today. So I'll enlarge it and then read it out for all of you. Oil prices are down after his, Trump thing, whatever his tariff or reciprocal tariff. Interest rates are down, right? Food prices are down. There is no inflation. And the long time abuse USA is bringing in billions of dollars a week from the abusing countries on tariffs that are already in place. This is despite the fact that the biggest abuser of them all, China, whose markets are crashing, just raised its tariff by 34% on top of its long term, ridiculously high tariffs. This is plus, not acknowledging my warning for abusing countries not to retaliate. They made enough for decades, taking advantage of the good old USA. Our past leaders are to blame for allowing this and so much else to happen to our country. Make America great again. Very interesting, you know, tweet he's put out. Okay. What did he say? He says, uh, China is 34% plus what is existing. And China had pretty high tariffs on many American goods. Okay. So, so actually, this one thing, turns the entire tariff equation on its head. People say, look, America shouldn't increase tariffs. It's not good for American economy. Maybe. But if China has high tariffs, we have high tariffs. Has it not been good for our economy? So what's good for the goose is good, same for the gander. So this is the story. So we have to understand it from that principle. And what's more important is I'm not interested whether tariffs are up or down, whether China has hit or not. What is it for India? भाई देखो, डोनाल्ड ट्रंप ने पीछे हटना नहीं, ये तो करेगा. Whatever he has to do, he'll do. He's done, and he's not going back. And you see, this tweet is just about in the evening, which is given out. Now, after this, the European Union has now said we'll do 0% to zero tariffs. Taiwan has already said no, we will invest in USA. Others will follow suit. Those who are dependent on the US system, those who are US allies, will go back to Trump and say this thing. And he has already said 50 countries are already speaking to us for negotiating with tariffs. India has already started it. India started this before. There's a shift happening. And in this shift, the idea is whether what Trump has done is good or not is irrelevant. What is relevant for us is to see what is good for us. What do you see? What do we do? How do you deal with the situation? That is more important. So that's my focus of this discussion. Now, as far as this, now let's look at the tariff. This is the tariff map. Okay, India is here. China is now the highest, and of course, there Myanmar. This, of course, is only 34% China. If you add that other 20%, it goes to 54. It will become, yeah. But there are others like Vietnam, Myanmar of all places, Bangladesh. Okay, Sri Lanka. They're all been hit badly. उस लिहाज से देखो तो India is down below. See the top ones. Look at this. This is the effective rates which is given here, and you see China, Cambodia, Vietnam, Sri Lanka, Thailand. These are the ones which are in the top bracket of tariff. What does it tell you? Why? We have to understand this, and this is where the crux of the whole story is for India. Okay. When COVID ended, everyone said China plus one hoga. China plus one will be Vietnam, India, all that. So a lot of people in India said, oh, we have not done enough. We have not attracted investment. Yeah, all that. That's why we have missed the bus and all that. Did we miss the bus? We didn't. That's the thing which is coming out now. We didn't miss the bus at all. What happened is that China ensured, making use of this China plus one strategy, they moved all their factories to other places. They didn't obviously move to India because we were not allowing them to move to India. If they wanted, they would have come fast. They would have rushed in here. Okay. They would have come in, but we didn't allow them for our reasons. We played our trick the way we wanted. We did Atmanirbhar Bharat, PLI schemes, all that were to fail. Because the PLI scheme was a fair scheme, a very good scheme actually, which many people didn't take because they were going with China. They were all going with China. They found it convenient to buy Chinese factories to shift to Vietnam. And export to USA, okay, and other places. So on in some way on paper you're de-risked from China, but actually you're still dependent on China. China controls those companies still, whether they're in Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, AO. So all this tariff tells you which are the countries which benefited from this China plus one, where Chinese people relocated, including Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka over 44%. Deklo. And then we say, why will it not be? Because, see, these are the things. Because China had arm twisted Sri Lanka to produce things from there. Garments, basically. So a lot of things are there. In fact, even Bangladesh is in that. Bangladesh mein kya bata hai? So the point is that this tells you that the China plus one or China plus two plus whatever the nonsense is all nonsense, real nonsense. It never worked. China undercut the whole system. Okay. Well, we said 26% tariff too high, yeah, all that. Someone did a back of the envelope calculation. Nominally, with those items which come under tariff, we export about 71 to 75, $77 billion to USA, and we import $42 billion. That's the macro issue. But we don't, that's not the sum total of our export. Our export is quite a bit. Have a look at it, I'll make it bigger. Okay, you see this thing, the sum total of our export is quite a bit. I know it's this figure don't come. That is somewhere in the region of some 400 odd $1 billion. Now, in this, there are three things which are, exempted. Interestingly, I'm sorry, this chart is weak and poor, but that's how it is. I mean, someone gave it to me just like that. So, what is there? Pharma products are exempted. Minerals, fuels, and some products are also exempted. And complete services, which is the bulk of our exports, is exempted. Okay, that's $375. $1 billion plus another 12 billion. Yeah, that's about another 13, 14 billion from pharma and minerals, which are exempted. So nearly, if you see, if you look at it from that point of view, nearly $400 billion are exempt. So what's your problem? You're only paying tariff on a small amount. Yeah, for the guy who's paying tariff, wo to 26% hai, wo to, he is not happy. Okay, now the next thing, let's look at a few things which are, gone, where you have to pay. Pearls, gems and jewelry and all. That's the first line. Okay, again, I'll make it big, yeah. Okay, that's the first line, sorry. That's the first line. That's up 26%. But the thing about this pearls business is no one else can make it. This is your traditional sector where you're good. And then you can't, like, for example, diamond cutting, which is a specialty in Surat. It doesn't get cut anywhere. Diamonds from all over the world come to Surat to get cut and go out. So they can't go anywhere, no? So that 26%, pay. People who want to buy diamonds will pay for it. Okay. Same. Okay. Then you look at, garments. Again, garments, Again, garments. Well, everyone wants garments, whether you like it or not, everyone needs garments. Okay. So if you need garments, you have to, 1 minute, sorry. Yeah. Yeah. Exit full screen. Yeah, sorry. If you need garments, you have to wear. And you have to export from somewhere. USA is not going to make garments. Okay, but here, what is there? You get hold of others. Who are the garment exporters in the world? Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, okay. They are on a higher rate of tariff. You are on a lower rate of tariff. Use this differential tariff. Get them all together. You become the hub of garments. That's the big thing which you get, isn't it? So why crib about it? I look at it this way. You are faced with a situation. If you are faced, okay, with the adverse situation, if you are faced with the adverse situation, face it and do something about it. Let's make a plan. Like, you need to have your own strategy to get out of this nonsense. That's what my view is. Okay. Okay. 1 minute. Yeah. Okay. Now, this is a small clip. This is a small clip. Our president has gone to Portugal. Just see what the president of Portugal has to say about India. See, suddenly you find in all this story, the relevance of India is coming up. It is, don't think that just because it's a trip of president or normal formality yoga. Their president has spoken some sense. Just listen to it. It's in slow this thing because it's a translated version, but don't give it up. Okay, don't give up on it. Yeah.
This visit takes place in an international moment that is quite challenging, a moment where multilateralism and the international system based on rules and the respect for sovereignty and territorial integrity, the belief in the increase of common prosperity through free trade and the need for fighting climate change, all these principles and all these values are undergoing a crisis because they are being put into question. The role of India is crucial. It's the largest democracy in the planet. It's an economic power that is huge, with an important role and a multilateral system, as the recent presidency of the G20 has shown. Hence, Portugal has always advocated that India should be in the reform of the UN Security Council, that India should.
So very interesting. He's made 2 points, two major points. He says, look, the international system is being broken by those people who made it. Well, he's just made. And then he says, in this context, I've not played the in written. In this context, the role of India will be important. And India is a superpower, and India has got a long thing to do. I mean, big responsibility to do, and it has the capability to do, as we saw it in G20, and it should become a permanent member of the Security Council. You forget about the Security Council, but if you see this in context, I didn't play the whole thing out. It's a clip for about 6-7 minutes. Many other points are there. I played out only the important thing. So there is a important issue in this whole story. Okay, now let's go ahead. Okay, now what does JD Vance say? He says we must take back every piece of US land controlled by China. Not a single blade of grass should be theirs. Very clear. I mean, the focus on China is very clear on this whole story. You saw what Trump has said. You saw what someone else is saying about India, what the vice president is saying. And von der Leyen, Ursula von der Leyen, I just heard that about half an hour back she said zero tariffs. हम तैयार हैं भाई. And बाकी भी, Taiwan also has said, I told you. So things are changing. Things are changing at pace. It's only USA which is hit back with a tariff, counter tariff. Oh, sorry, China has hit back with a counter tariff, and Trump has made a mention of it already in the crosshairs. Okay, what should we do? That's the question. That's a $1 million question, which I think we need to look at. 1 minute. Okay, what should we do is a question. Like I said, that China plus one model with Vietnam, Cambodia, Laos, Bangladesh, Myanmar, and Sri Lanka and Mexico is now completely finished. That supply chain is going to break. It's going to break. So if that's going to break, what are we going to do? What is India going to do? It's a great opportunity. Globalization is sunk, no more. You'll see that the richest and the biggest market will dictate terms. USA. If US market is denied to China, China is sunk. More upheavals are on the cards. Let's be very clear about it. This is not a सर्वदेश क्या सर्वरोग निवारणी कि भाई one size fits all. It's not going to happen. There's more upheavals will come. I expect by tonight when the New York and London stock exchanges and all open, they'll drop even more. And tomorrow you'll find our stocks going even more down. But we'll stabilize. I am very confident of it. Okay. What is India's opportunity in all this? We have an opportunity of building a better relationship with USA. That's coming out very loud and clear. Okay, and we need to do that because the number of people who are there or diaspora which is there is too huge. You can't ignore it. It's not like the 70s. Very few people, they didn't matter, but they matter and we matter. And we have a common problem in China. We need to sort it out. I'm not mincing words on this. Okay. Okay. My view is get hold of Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, Thailand, BIMSTEC, or I'm sure Modi ji would have already sounded this out in private. But I think we need to get them, start manufacturing in India with them. You outsource it to them, let them come here and give it to USA, even if it's 26% tariff, so be it. But then you're doing a deal with USA. Since you're doing a deal with USA, all this will get covered. They benefit, you benefit. And that way you wean them away from China. And they can't go to China because if they partner with China, they still have to pay them that 44%. For example, Bangladesh or Guyana, Yunus. Oh, you come here, manufacture, I come there, manufacture, do manufacture anything, you can sell it to China, you can sell it to the world. He can sell it to China who can't buy. You can't sell it to the world who's not prepared to buy. World कौन है? USA में 44% देगा क्या ये यूनिस जी? वो तो गंजा होके बैठ जाएंगे भाई भेजो. So that's the opportunity we have now. Can we get our act together now? You think. Then we all know that Europe is under pressure from America to increase its defense investment. Okay, they can invest now say up to 3%, let's say 2 to 3%. 1% of GDP is hell of a lot. European GDP altogether put together is as big as China's and US GDP. 1% of that is a big amount. With USA also expanding its shipbuilding capability, Europe also trying to expand its capability, and also Asian countries expanding their military capability. Where is the production? Where is the production? Okay, and that production capability is in India. Can we do it? Can we do deals with them? Can we expand? Is there a case for having an international kind of a equation with Europe, even America? Have joint productions, beat the tariffs completely by the joint productions, and on a government-to-government deal. It can be done. You have to think out of the box. Okay. Can you link that with IMEC? He did say no. There'll be a beautiful trade corridor from India to the Gulf, to Europe, to USA. That's what he's talking of. Can you make use of this? Okay. Can we use the Israel connection, leverage the Israel connection? Israel has technology, everything. So can we use that to, our advantage? I think we should. Okay. Can we move towards a post-Ukraine war scenario of reconstruction in Ukraine and Russia, use good offices of Russia, and not allow China? In any case, China won't be allowed into Ukraine. वो चाइना वाले ने यूक्रेन को हाथ दे दिया, ठीक है, तो डोंट अलाउ हिम इन. Build this into US thing. USA will seek a lot of reconstruction of Ukraine. Fair enough. Let him take. But he'll need others. It can't be done alone. Okay. What about AI and services? I think that's the biggest opportunity. We should not make the mistake, like I just saw Mr. Rahul Gandhi's tweet. We should become a production oriented economy. That's the worst thing you can do. Our biggest strength is consumption. Make it a consumption oriented economy, increase the production share, but don't become another China. Now, in all this, we should ensure there's no dumping from China. Okay, no dumping from China at all. And put China on a hold. All the cake cutting जो है ना चाइना और इंडिया के बीच में, उसे भाई आप केक ठीक है खा लो, आराम से पेल लो और बैठ जाओ. Don't do anything unnecessary in that. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you a clip. A lot of people are asking some questions. I'm going to show you a clip which I got of a common man. What's his impression? This fellow is not an American. He is not an Indian. He is not a Chinese. I think he's a European. Just listen to what he says. It's a to me, it sounded very nice.
Whatever you think of Trump, his economic plan makes complete sense. The US has 36 trillion in debt. In 2025, they will spend 6 trillion, but will only collect 4 trillion in revenue. So they need to borrow 2 trillion, and this will increase their debt to 38 trillion. Trump's economic plan is based on 3 levers. Number 1, cut expenses by 1 trillion, which is Doge, Elon Musk. He's targeting waste and fraud, like social security payments for people who are 150 years old. That is just fraud. 2, increasing revenue by 1 to 2 trillion through, number 1, tariffs. They will increase tariffs from 50 billion to 500 billion target. People will say, but other countries will retaliate. They will not be able to do it. The US is the biggest customer on earth. They consume 20 trillion every year. They are the biggest importer. They import 3 trillion every year. Plus, the current tariffs is actually not fair. Why should US cars entering Europe faces 10% tariffs, while the European cars entering the US just pay 2.5%? Not fair. And because of the tariff changes, it now makes economic sense to build factories and businesses inside the US again. That means more jobs, means tax-paying businesses, and more foreign investment coming in. He will also increase revenue by deregulation. He will remove unnecessary regulations and rules, making it easier to do business, so business can grow faster, generate more tax revenues. He also make this gold card, which is offering lifetime US residency for 5 million. I think at least 1 or 2 million individuals globally can afford it. So if just 10% of them, if just 100,000 people buy this card, that's 1 trillion in incremental revenue. The third lever is he will reduce taxes. If he successfully cut 1 trillion in waste and expenses and add 1 to 2 trillion in revenue, the US will have a surplus. They will have more money than they want. So he will cut taxes. For individuals, anyone gaining more than 150K, he will make them pay 0 taxes. And on corporate taxes, he will go down from the current 21% to 15%, compared to the European average of 22%. France average is 25, I think, and Germany is 30. So at 15.
Oh, sorry.
Whatever you think of Trump, his economic plan makes complete sense. The US has 36 trillion in debt. In 2025, they will continue pushing for real reform, or are they talking about non-relevant side topics? And let me know if you think Trump plan is bad. Let me know why, because I think it is just common sense. Whatever you think of Trump, his economic.
Okay. So he says, whatever Trump is talking is all sense. It might be so. I mean, this thing. So there are two sides to this whole story, and the whole thing is playing out. It will take time. Whatever Trump is planning is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. Okay, and we'll see. This is just about a week old, and we'll keep track of this. What we need to do is look out for ourselves. And what we need to do is keep China at bay. That should be very clear to all of us. Okay. Okay. Now we'll get on to Iran. Iran's nuclear capability is not a matter of if, but when. That's the my start as far as when Iran will go to war. Okay, that's how I look at it. Now we all know that Iran has had a 3-point power formula. How it's the foundations of Iranian power. One, it has been funding and arming a terrorist non-state network of allies. Okay, Houthis, Hezbollah, and Hamas, and plus the Iraqi militias and the Assad regime. Then they've developed a huge arsenal of ballistic missiles. They don't have an air force, so they've developed it. And third, they had a nuclear program. And this nuclear program is at such a stage where it can be dialed down to get them economic benefits. It can be dialed up to deliver a nuclear weapon. They're using the nuclear weapon as the you know uh, lever to get their national interest through. What is their national interest? It is to dominate the Islamic world, to be the biggest power in the Islamic world, and of course, prosperous nation, all that. Okay. Now let's see what is the state of their first story. That is, I'll take each one of them one by one and go through it. We know Hamas is in a bad shape. It's already in talks with Israel, and, for some kind of a peace. I wouldn't say peace, interim peace, and we'll see where it goes. Houthis are still active, though USA has been hitting them hard. But look, Houthis have been, virtually undefeated for the past about 8 years, 9 years now. Initially, it was Saudi Arabia, then there was the international coalition. Now, US, they're not. They might be poor, all that, but they're surviving and they're hitting back. And those Houthis are a tough lot. Let's be very clear, but they're active. But it's a question mark whether they're in control of Iran or not. But they're there. Many people feel that they are in control. Others feel they're not in control. Hezbollah has degraded, right? So all the non-state actors out. Israel's arms have been cut. Okay. Now, what about Israel itself? Sorry, did I say Israel's arms have been cut? No. Iran's arms have been cut. I'm sorry. Now, let's talk of Iran itself. Iran is in a weakened state. We all know that. The Russia-China axis, which Iran has been developing along with North Korea to get political and diplomatic support, is not fully formed. They're not fully committed to each other. While they want to do this, but they're not, I don't know how far in the current conditions, will Russia come to help Iran? Don't know. Why? Because Russia is doing a deal with USA. Will China come with this Trump tariff and company? Very difficult. So today, Iran is virtually isolated. Does it have support in the Islamic world? Zero. It has lost its influence. It's economically weak, and I'll touch upon it a little later. It doesn't have an air defense. Major of their air defense equipment were knocked off by the Israelis. So it's lying naked. Okay, it can be hit any time. Okay. It has its missiles. So these are the ranges of these missiles. Have a look a little closer, right? It can reach complete Arab world. Like I said, Israel has no ambition of being a global player and all. Regional domination. Okay. So, like I said, someone is saying, will China come to Israel, Iran's help? I doubt. They'll not come. China has already been marginalized from this area geopolitically. It has got business interests and that's it. There are no other interests. Okay. Now, let's look at the nuclear story. This is the map, the nuclear map of Iran. Okay. It's got reactors at Monab, Ramsar, and Tehran. Okay. It's got uranium mines at Parchin, and it's got Parchin is a military place where they got their arsenal, missiles, and all that. Okay. And at Sagan, Yazd, and Gachin, they have mines. And then their nuclear facilities are at Arak, Fordo, Natanz, and Bushehr. And of course, Isfahan. Their main ones at Fordo and Natanz. So the crux of Iranian nuclear power lies around Fordo, Parchin, and Natanz. Fordo and Natanz have the reactors to make uranium. Parchin has the weaponized stuff. Okay, therefore, the facilities at Fordo and Natanz are basically enrichment facilities and they're underground and heavily defended. So is Parchin. Some of the navy is also gone underground. So it's all there. Right. Now, if I talk about a little bit about what generally how much uh, enrichment it has done, and in terms of figures, the last figures which I could lay my hands on was Iran has 167.4 kg of uranium enriched up to 60%. This was about 3 months back. Figures would have gone up. And it has around 42 kg of uranium enriched. Sorry, that's not the thing. The calculation is you need 42 grams of uranium, which is enriched at 60% to make a bomb. Theoretically. Theoretically, if you enrich uranium to 60%, you can make a bomb. But that bomb will be dirty. If it has 164 kg of uranium up to 60% enrichment, it can make 4 bombs because you need about 40 kg to make a bomb. It will be a weak bomb and a dirty bomb. A bomb is a bomb. It has its own ramifications. To make an atomic weapon or a nuclear weapon, you need to take it to 90%. So far, there is no intimation that it has gone to 90%. But in the past 3 months, it's been working. I expect it has already gone to that level. I expect. That's my view. Okay, because it is now actually a nuclear threshold state. It has been working over time to enrichment. It's probably a screwdriver turn away from a bomb. And what you see in the newspapers and media and analysis and journalists and all journals and all, maybe if they have worked over the past 3 months, 4 months, uh, Iran might have about the capability to have 3 to 4 nuclear warheads. This 162 grams would have turned into 90%, and that's how it is. And they would have already had some, we don't know. So you're looking at a capability of 3 to 4 bombs. Now, these 3 to 4 bombs are good enough to do a lot of things. We saw while uh, Israel and USA stopped most of the missiles which were fired from Iran. Some got through, isn't it? Some got through. Now, if they have got through, and if one of them was an atom bomb with a nuclear warhead, what will happen? Look, what you do to Iran and all is a later day story. वो तो कहानी है. Okay. But after Hiroshima, Nagasaki, this will be the one. Okay. They don't fire that side. What if they fire into Gulf countries? Your complete oil trade is at risk. What if they have the capability with 3 nuclear warheads of closing the Gulf trade, oil trade? Saudi Arabia. You fire at 4 reactors. It doesn't matter if you intercept this thing on top of a not reactor, sorry, oil refinery. Even if you intercept it on top of oil refinery and set a low air burst, thank you for that oil refinery in that area around. So all your oil wells in Saudi Arabia will close, and there'll be a problem in global, energy. So that capability, I think, Iran has. If it has not had, it is just a screwdriver turn away, and they can do it. And this is where, like I said earlier, from here it can dial up into becoming a nuclear armed state, or it can dial down to get economic benefits. So that's the game of chicken which is going on at this point of time. Okay. Now, what are the implications of Iran as a nuclear power? Okay. We have to understand that. Like I said earlier, a nuclear weapon gives it the ability to control the Islamic world. After all, remember, Iran is a civilizational state. You can't just. Now, it has missiles which it can deliver a nuclear warhead because this is one of its strengths, okay, which I spoke of earlier. And then it has the political and religious and diplomatic ability to assert its power in the Persian Gulf and confront USA. Also, a lot of US forces are sitting in the Persian Gulf. Now, they are also at risk the moment Iran becomes nuclear. It can press its territorial claims. For example, it claims almost the entire Qatar gas fields. If it gets hold of that, it becomes the biggest producer of gas. Okay. And if that is blanked out, if it gets hold of Qatar, it can. If it the moment it becomes a nuclear state, things equations will change. Then of course Israel will react and there'll be a issue. In which case US presence in that area has to increase. In all this. So a lot of US presence in this area is to thwart Iran and protect the Gulf sheikdoms. Earlier they used to do it against Iraq, now against Iran. Okay. And then there's a domino effect. The moment Iran gets hold of nuclear weapons, others will say, I also want to have. Saudi Arabia wants to have. Even Libya at one point of time wanted to have. Oh, Korea, South Korea will say, I'll also go nuclear. Japan will go nuclear. We'll talk of that a little later. Now, what's the problem with Iran? What is its economy like? It's at a very, bad shape. 1 rial is equivalent to, or rather, I will say this: $1 is 1,30,000, whatever reals per US dollar. Poor shape. Inflation is going past 40%. Food prices have doubled in the recent past. Oil revenues are declining because US has put secondary sanctions on its dark trade, the covered oil exports. All dark ships. There are a lot of dark shipping in this area, and China is actively involved in this dark shipping. Now, if USA starts monitoring this and starts intercepting this dark trade, then not only Iran is in a problem, China is also in a problem. So there are other issues. Okay. Now, what are the US and Iran relationships and what are the issues? You got to go back to 2015 when Obama drew out a plan right? That nuclear deal, which is known as the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, by which certain things Iran could do, not do, all that. That had not got finalized. Trump withdrew from it. Okay, he just withdrew. He said, "I'm not going to deal with these fellows." 2018, he withdrew. Now he wants to go back and redo the deal. Good thing, because after 4 years, akal to aaya hai usko. कि भाई, there's no point in fighting. Let's do something. That's why I say there's been in the past 4 years, he's put a think tank together behind him, who's thinking through all this, and he's like an onion peel. He's layer by layer, he's getting everything out. I've been saying this ever since Trump has assumed office. And I can boast. Whatever I've said has come right. Okay. Now, Trump has said maximum pressure approach. What is this? Diplomatic solution. But without ruling out the military option. So he has given Iran a 2-month deadline. In the next 2 months, sign the deal. And he says, I'll bomb the hell out of you if you don't. Iran has said, I'll hit you back. He says, I'll target your 10 bases around there and around 50,000 US soldiers who are there. Now, he has not said, I'll target you with nuclear weapons or not. It's implicit. For all you know, that nuclear weapon might have left that place and it's lying somewhere hidden. Okay. So that's ambiguity. So you have nuclear ambiguity here. If we talk of other kinds of ambiguity, so you have nuclear ambiguity here. And nuclear ambiguity leads to deterrence. Unless, of course, USA knows exactly where that nuclear bomb is, we'll go toko them. Okay. Now the thing is, Iran is unwilling to negotiate with USA. USA wants a comprehensive dialogue on nuclear and non-nuclear issues. USA. Iran says, I will talk only nuclear with USA. Non-nuclear issues, I'll not talk with you. He's not interested in direct talks. He says, I want to speak through Oman. So it brings Oman into focus. So Oman is becoming a player, which is good for us because Oman is our friend. So I'll come in the end back. Incidentally, Oman, the more I think of it, the more plausible it seems that whatever is happening in Balochistan could be bankrolled by Oman. Because part of Balochistan was owned by Oman before it was priced out of them and given to Pakistan. And this might be their way of getting it back. For all you know, people who are saying independent Balochistan and all that, it might become part of Oman, which is very good news for us. So we'll talk of that some other day. So Oman is the go-between. All this talk has not crystallized to its level because in between Trump has got too many things on his plate. Kabhi Panama, kabhi Greenland, kabhi China, kabhi Taiwan, kabhi Trump tariff, and kabhi Iran. But action is going on all fronts. I mean, you had to give it to this man who's come with a plan and is executing it. And so it's already how many months? 20th Jan he took over, 20th Jan to 20th February, 20th March, 2.5 months. And USA has been carrying out its military preparations. 2 aircraft carriers, Carl Vinson and Truman, have already gone there. They're there somewhere. B-2 stealth bombers are sitting in Diego Garcia. They've brought in air-to-air refueling because from Diego Garcia, if they have to operate, they need air-to-air refueling. Then transport aircraft has come to transport whatever they have to because heavy transport will be needed. Okay. The B-52 have done flyovers around Iran with Israel. So this indicates there will be a joint Israel-US action. And then Pakistan and Afghanistan have come into the calculation. We've heard that Afghanistan, they are seeking a base back there and all that. Isn't it? USA. So why? And पाकिस्तान को तो चाबी पूंछ मुड़ना है, वो तो खड़ा हो जाएगा, भैया मेरा ले लो, मेरे को ये बलूची से बचा लो. I mean, Pakistan will do, so they're back. So now USA is encircling Iran. And in this is the right time from USA's perspective, because China is at its weakest in this area. There's no influence of China. It's only trade. Russia is beholden to USA now in some manner. That equation between Russia and Iran is not as strong as it was some time back. So this is where it is. Okay. Now, is this all there is in this whole story? No. You have to get other angles, because while this is happening, there's a lot more happening in West Asia. This is just one factor in West Asia. What is happening in West Asia? If I'm giving you scenarios, if there's a jad-up between USA and Iran, and let's say Iran cops it, it becomes even more weak. Then you're looking at the Middle East balance going out of equation. Now, the Middle East balance or the West Asian balance is based on Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and Iran, which are big states. Turkey is in a problem today. Okay. Erdogan is turning out to be a dictator of sorts. He's put his opponent in jail, and everything is iffy there. Iran, iffy. If these two fall, then Saudi Arabia will get up. Is it good, bad? We'll have to see. But US has tremendous interest in this area, and Saudi Arabia, it's an anchor. And Trump, especially so. Because Trump has done a lot of construction there. Okay. Right. Then, what is the role and status of Qatar? Will Qatar become too big? It's already too big. It keeps playing one against the other. It supports this Muslim Brotherhood, all that story which is on. And if Iran becomes weak, there's an equation which will come out. If Iran becomes strong, there's another equation which will come out. Okay. So, crucial. And Qatar is a critical player. And Qatar is the headquarter of CENTCOM. What is the future of Yemen? Up in the thing. If you want to ensure that Bab al Mandab is clear and the Red Sea routes are clear, then the Houthis have to be subdued in some manner. Who has the reach to, or rather the linkage to the Houthis? Only Iran. Houthis don't listen to anyone. If there's a way to quell the Houthis, that is through Iran. So you have to do some kind of a diplomatic deal with Iran. If you go and toko him with nuclear weapons, Houthis, whether you toko him with nuclear weapons or not, he will still do what he has to do. So you have to be clear what you want to do. The US guys have to be absolutely clear, where they're going. Because the thing with West Asia and Middle East and this thing is, you touch one, the rest of this thing will start falling. That's what we've seen. And what is the state of Syria? Syria is not in good shape. You taken out Assad and put a reformed Al Qaeda fellow, Al Shara, and there Syria continues in a state of civil war. And the last question which I'll ask is, what about Israel? If Iran is subdued completely and all these other small things are there, then the Israel thing goes up. Will there be a solution with the Hamas then? So there are a lot of things up in the air, and this is something which we have to take care of. What is US dilemma? Can Iran be bombed into submission like Serbia? I doubt. So though Trump says I'll bomb, yeah, wo and all that, no. Trump said I'll not start a war, but by bombing Iran, he is going to start a war. It's not going to end. Will US put boots on ground? Then it sunk. Then the next question is, will Trump get sucked into a battle which he doesn't want? What's his main aim? Abhi tak we have said that his main aim still remains China. So if he gets into Iran, there's a problem. And of course, I feel that whatever he's doing with Houthis, he's giving a demonstration to Iran. Iran people must be seeing what these chaps are doing. And Iran must be thinking, if this fellow does what he's doing with Houthis to us, what will be our effect? And Iran will also have its own dilemma. If all this happens, what happens to Khamenei? Will there be a revolution in Iran? Can he negotiate a deal? Can he instigate a revolution in Iran through Israel? Does Trump have that kind of a mentality to instigate a color revolution there? So these are the issues which are there. Personally, I feel that I'm hopeful. I'll say I'm hopeful that some kind of a deal, either overt or covered deal or understanding is worked out between Iran and USA. And all this which is happening, this tariff and all that, will help Trump negotiate. I mean, on that I don't have a doubt ever. I don't have a doubt. Okay, so something will happen where they should get to a deal. Okay, they could get to a deal with Iran still having some nuclear capability, but abiding by certain restrictions and all that. Now, what are the implications of that? Or it doesn't happen. What are the implications? We need to look at a certain number of nuclear equations. And I'm going to put that across now. 2 minutes. This map tells you the general estimated nuclear warheads around the globe. Okay, general. Add to this, one more will come with Iran. If Iran goes nuclear, it could be 3, 4, 5, it doesn't matter. So the world becomes more nuclear in nature. Now, if that happens, then you're looking at a different kind of an equation. And that equation is something like this. And this is where India comes in. Around India, you're going to have in that part of India, it's no more the nuclear triangle between China, Pakistan, and India. You're going to look at a hexagon: USA, Japan, South Korea, North Korea, Russia, and China. Okay, in that area, because they're all there. Because if this fellow goes nuclear, South Korea, there is already a movement to say we should be nuclear to ward off North Korea. And Japan also feels we should be on our own. I can't depend on the US nuclear umbrella. These are moments which are in the offing. And if this might be a domino effect, yahan nuclear ho gaya, to I'll go nuclear there also. So then you're looking at as it is an over militarized area. And now you're going to go into a even further nuclearized. And then here on your western shore, you're going to have India, Russia, Israel, Pakistan, Iran, and China mucking around, all nuclear powers. So we are getting into a system in the Indo-Pacific, which is more militarized and more nuclear in nature. This is something we have to be aware of. Okay. And then I'll come to this thing. What is India's role in all this? We have to be alive to 2-3 issues. One, like I said, you have to rethink first as the nuclear part. You have to rethink your nuclear doctrine. You are developing your missiles. because you have other commitments. Are you modernizing your nuclear warheads? If you're modernizing your nuclear warheads, you're modernizing your missiles, everything. You need to have a new nuclear doctrine. One. Now, getting to Iran and USA. You have good equations with Iran. You have good equations with Oman, which I said earlier. You have good equations with USA. Can we step up to the occasion? We had good equations with Ukraine. We had good equations with Russia. We have not done anything. We had good equations with Israel. We had good equations with Hamas. We have done nothing. Can we do anything now? और हम ऐसे बेटर हैं एंड फिर हम बोलते हैं यार हम तो पावर बनना चाहते हैं कौन सा पावर बनना चाहते हो भाई so I think we need to do something very seriously about it and then of course we have to understand you have to develop new equations in this post tariff world or deglobalized world as it is emerging you're going to deal with a militarized Pacific, over militarized Pacific. If you say you're an over militarized Pacific, already you have connections with Philippines, already you have military connections with Vietnam, you have military connections with Japan, and some military connections with Korea. We keep talking of what that string of pearls and all that nonsense. Is it time to give it back to China? Is there a need for us to, through trade, this opportunity which has come, get all our neighbors together so that and tell them, look, where you stand? Is there a case for us to rethink the whole story? Events are happening. You've seen the Russia-Ukraine war, Gaza, South China Sea, whatever is happening, our own, where China has gone back and where now a new story is coming up. Our strategic thinking has to change. Are we thinking? I keep saying, an elephant doesn't know how strong it is. How strong the Indian elephant is, the Chinese chap knows. Are we maximizing it? A third-rate fellow like Bangladesh speaks उल्टा सीधा उसको एक झापड़ नहीं लगाया आज तक कि भैया आप बहुत है चुप रहो Why don't we give some help to Baluch people and tell Pakistan कि भाई you I mean look Musharraf famously said we only give moral support to the Kashmiri people so let's give moral support to Baluchistan what's wrong moral support can we use Oman doors are opening which door should India take that's the question mark which India should answer thanks now I'll take a few questions yeah before doing anything examine your options yeah look at cause and effect and finally look at cost benefit before you do anything why should we do anything what's our benefit what's the cost I agree with you but at some point of time you should say yeah I'll take the plunge people we under punch that's the problem okay tension in the Middle East is due to Iran is related to push for electric vehicles for a possible global oil shortage all that is far-fetched don't think of it nuclear are available with many and thus can't be used with anyone that's what it's going to come to but it's the new players who are more keen to use it Iran if it has 3 his bargaining power goes up that's the point okay nuclear part you mentioned is further proof that Israel won't allow Iran to go nuclear ever Israel it might not be in Israel's control anymore Bharat is today blackmailed by Pak Punjabi army with 300 not Iran no you don't know I mean, that's presumptuous on your part to say Israel won't allow. It's already out of the way I look at it. It's already out of his hand. Yeah, their question book doesn't allow peace, and it is stated they have to kill Jews and non-believers. Look again, Vijay. Things change. You people are, I don't know how old you are, but I have seen the time when people in Iran used to go in miniskirts. That was a permissive society till these chaps came back, the Ayatollahs. Because there were other issues. The complete Iran revolution was a left-leaning revolution with religion added. Who knows when, if there's a next revolution, things will change. If USA is looking at delinking from China and linking up with Bharat, then basically Trump is undoing the Nixon plan. I agree with you. The same may be applied to Iran. Possible. Who knows? If Iran goes under a revolution, look, let's be very clear, Iran's situation is not good. If that comes unstuck, their complete clergy who knows? I mean, why am I talking of all this? Because we are at that stage today. I see that. Yemen, Oman, these are good funny names like Yemen. You don't have to be flippant about it, CV. They are all, good states with their own tradition. Yemen isn't a problem today, but Oman is one of our best friends. Israel also seeks to keep conventional army supremacy over Arabs. Yeah, that will be there. That's all there. What is the possibility of a government change? I've answered it. Yeah. Nuclear option was available only to USA post Hiroshima. Anybody using now could lead to a chain reaction. Yeah, I don't think it will go there that far. I don't think so. Israel also, yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you completely, Pankaj. Evangelical Christian voter base of Republicans, most hawkish Israeli supporter. Now they have their men in Washington and Jerusalem in power. How will Trump say no or Iran? Geopolitics has its own equations. Don't worry. What is the people view on the current regime? The harsh laws, poverty, and other social issues. Will they get support to their government or to go against USA? That's the $1 million question. There's a huge constituency Iran who is against the regime. At what stage will this turn into a critical mass? We don't know. And maybe that mass is already there. Is there a leadership which you can rise to a revolution? See, at that time, the left, if you go back and study the Iranian revolution, the clergy were left aloof by the Shah. He pushed some of these troublemaker clergy out, but he allowed them to do what they wanted without interfering. But the political leadership came from the left leaning guys. On their own, they found that they can't overthrow the Shah of Iran. And hence, they take the help of Ayatollah Khomeini, who was sitting in France somewhere. And he was brought back. But then now the clergy has taken over. The left has been sidelined. It's there, it's been sidelined. So, what is the political critical mass within that is the question. Yeah, Iran possesses Bawar 373 air defense, claiming they don't have air defense is nonsense. I mean, you don't know. So just having something is of no use. So I'm very clear about what I'm talking. So I can understand that you are, maybe a supporter of Iran. So am I. I also like Iran. This is a absolutely, what shall I say? unbiased view of the situation. Okay, I'm not for USA. I'm not for Iran. That's why I said we have good. India has good relations with Iran. We need to use it to offset whole story here. What is the basis for saying that Iran's air defense have been taken out just because Israel says so? No? This is what has come in some form or the other very clearly. Trump will never attack anything. Will to be seen. He's already attacked Houthis. So we don't know. China will not come to Iran's aid. At best, it can supply. It's not so effective. I agree with you, Vijay. They will not come anywhere. 100% Arab. His accent is halal, man. I think you're a fool. Yeah, you're looking at a win-win situation in practical life. Does it work? It might not. It never is. I agree with you. So let's see how it goes. Is devaluation of rupee the answer for tariff? Yes, Kumar, let me tell you, a lot of people are thinking of devaluation. China is thinking of devaluation. USA is thinking of devaluation. We also start thinking of devaluation. Okay, well, the whole world devalues, you get back to the same floor level. So nothing will change. Okay, the guy who devalues and who will have a global effect is USA, and that's also on the cards today. Uh, the present American action in the geoeconomic space may allude to a disruption of globalization, liberalization era, and replacing it with a multipolar economic order. Completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. Thank you for increasing the mouse cursor size. Oh, welcome. I might increase it a little bit more also. As an army aspirant, I'm not interested in money, finance as such, but all my friends are money minded. I agree inflation, etc., is increasing. In such cases, how officers secure financial future? I'll talk. Yeah, we've spoken about it. I spoke with General Vinod Vashisht about financial future. Okay. Okay. Sir, Trump is following up the madman theory of Nixon. It seems it is relevant these days. Your opinion, please. I've done my own story. Is Trump a madman? Yesterday only. Have a look at it. There's no madman. No one is a madman. No madman become the president of USA. They've got a plan. This man has got a plan. He's come out with it. Jai Hind, Lieutenant General Saab. Jai Hind, Divakar. How are you? Okay. Shritik. So, what do you make of the hands-off protests across the US? It's straight out of the deep state's playbook that CIA itself has applied in various countries. Will they be able to? They'll get around to it. It's their headache. Let's see how it comes out. It's too early to say what's going to happen. Okay. Right. Let me see. A few questions more. Are you proposing Indian security umbrella from Mid East to South Asian countries? No, we don't have to give an umbrella and all, but we need to have defense cooperation. That's more important. About a year ago, I remember you saying there was a cadre review of for the IFS. Any update? Nothing has happened. It's all being done at Israel's behest. I don't think so, Vigla. I disagree with you on this. I don't know where you are from, but seeing generally what you're saying, I don't think so. The reason why I say it's not at Israel's behest is USA has huge interests in the Middle East. Okay, I mentioned this also. So it's not only Israel. And at the end of the day, Mr. Trump wants to dominate. And if that's the one part of it. The second part of it is the Iran, the way it is, its only recourse is nuclear. Its only defense today is nuclear. So that wants, if it goes nuclear, we have the whole world is in a problem. The new set of equations we have to start living with, which USA is trying to avoid. USA has got the bigger footprint because China doesn't have, Russia doesn't have, no one else has the capability. So you have to look at it from a different viewpoint. It's not Israel alone. Israel is just a bit player in this whole story at this point of time. Yeah, Bakhtiar, I will be very nice to Bangladesh if Bangladeshis don't talk nonsense about me personally. Okay? You see the comments? Okay? You're a factory of bullshitting, misinformation, and disinformation. Just get lost. Third rate fellow, you don't even know who you are. अपना मच्छी भी नहीं मिलता आपको, आपके पास चावल भी नहीं है. There is too much inertia in the political circles to enhance thinking in the right direction and take some timely actions. What do you think, sir? I agree with you. Our political people are sleeping. वो bunk आके सो रहे हैं. See, the problem with our political people, which I found across the board, I've dealt with chief ministers, I've dealt with a lot of people, central ministers, one odd time across 2-3 prime ministers also. The fact is that unless there are a few people who are brilliant, but the arm politician he's got no clue of strategy. He's not got no clue of geopolitics or diplomacy or defense. His only thing is by how do I win the next election? Bus. That is the problem. If US attacks Iran and China opens a front in Taiwan, ये सब यार सौरभ इतना सोचना नहीं चाहिए, होगा नहीं. Don't worry. China will not open a front in Taiwan. China will close the door. That's all. Where it is at this point of time. Just think. See, all of you who come out with this thing, ये करेगा तो वो करेगा, वो करेगा तो वो करेगा, वो करेगा. Just think from that country perspective. Today, is China ready to go for a war? If China goes for a war today, and Trump just stops any import from China, China will collapse. Okay, see what's happening in China today. Do you believe PM and Dr. J weren't briefed on what tariffs were when they went to see Trump for the inauguration? I don't think they were briefed about it because these things must have crystallized later. But I think they got a general drift. They got a good handle about it. They got a good understanding what's going to happen. And I see them already ahead of the loop. Look, it's not only I who see them. Even the Chinese feel that we are ahead of the curve with USA. In fact, most of the people feel that India has gone ahead of the curve in dealing with USA. We have anticipated USA well. We knew that tariffs will come. You could resist it, cry about it, or do something about it. So we are doing something about it. No more crying, no more this thing. You see, if you see in Chinese media, they're analyzing it and saying, oh, what Trump is doing is bad. How does it matter whether Trump is doing good, bad, or ugly to his state? He's done it, and we have to deal with it. And I'm glad today that Europe has come out and said, we'll deal with it. No more saying, you're bad, good, bad, and all that. And Europe also knows that it can't go towards China. China will destroy Europe. Their protection, everything is only with USA. They also have a problem with Russia, and which they have to go to navigate to safe shore. So all told, what Trump is doing with a lot of thought. And you see his ministers, especially the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent and Lutnick, the way they're talking. They might succeed or not, I don't know. They said these tariffs will not reindustrialize America. Maybe not. But if it reindustrializes by 10%, America is at a different level. If US strikes Iran, how might the fallout impact India's tech growth and defense strategy in shifting global power balance? A good question. We'll have to see how far that strike goes. If it's only a strike which takes out the nuclear thing, then the equations are different. If that doesn't happen, the equations are different. Your tech growth won't change, but your defense strategy has to change. If Iran comes out even partially successful, if there's a, let's say there's a skirmish and Iran comes out partially successful, partially, okay, then China and Russia are back in the game. Then we'll have difficulty. Then we have to do something different. But look, I look at it another way. What happened last year? Iran did some operations in Pakistan and immediately Pakistan took out them next day. And Iran said, let's have peace. So the question is, does Iran have that kind of a power to withstand America today? I told you earlier, their missile arsenal is denuded. They don't have aircrafts. They don't have a great navy. All they have is whatever that one or two nuclear weapons if they made and missiles. If that's lost, everything is lost for Iran. Iran stakes are high. Yeah. How will you deal with opposition in India who always say current government is wrong without even thinking? Let's put it this way. This is the habit of opposition in India earlier also. If you go back in time, Parasa, you'll find that the BJP also did the same thing to Congress government earlier. So there's nothing going to change. Albert Which Wigler, you put in a lot of your opinion. Thank you. I'm glad I excited your thinking self. Right. Is there a chance that China can provoke Iran and other sources to keep US busy in West Asia? What are the possible options? China is marginalized out of this area after that Syria episode. And after that, China itself is in a bad shape. I've spoken to you. You have to understand what can China do. What can China do? China was bad shape. That's why it went back from Ladakh. Its military is in shambles. Chinese military. Economy is in shambles. Political problems हैं उनके. वो क्या करेगा यार? If he comes out of this unscathed, and China is looking at a catastrophe as of now. Look, if China provokes Iran, China is at the risk of action by US economically. If strong economic action takes place against US, against China by US, China will suffer badly. Please understand. You have to understand this business of 34% tariffs. I mean, many of you have not understood this. Let me explain. This chap put 34%, that chap put 34%. Prima facie, it is equal. But what's the trade difference? This fellow imports, let's say, USA imports 100 rupees from China. China imports only 54 rupees, 50 rupees from USA. That's the difference, 50%. So tariffs on 34% tariff looks great, reciprocal tariff which China has put on USA. But that's only half of it, no? The other half. So China is at a disadvantage in this whole game at this point. In fact, I feel that China is going to fight with its back to the wall. Let's see how it goes. In last 2-3 years, a lot of slums have come about dangerously close to military training camps. Oh, that we can discuss separately. This is a job which is an administrative thing, that is, let them do it on their own. Yeah, excellent session, sir. I always wait for your discourses on various geopolitical issues. Thank you. Thanks a lot, and thanks for coming in and listening to this. Area question of 4 core district means, I think, yeah, I agree with you, but that's not a great deal at this point of time, right? Iran has to, its own dynamics have to come to the fore. Not much is known, not much news will come out of it. Can Russia do anything if a warlike situation? Russia will not do, because Russia is also seeking closure, and the only person who can give closure to that Russia-Ukraine war is USA. So virtually, see, in this whole story, people say Russia-China friendship will not change and all. It's already changing. And in this entire tariff business, Russia doesn't figure. Russia figures along with USA, along with India in 26-27%. And in any case, there are not trade relations between Russia and USA. So Russia is not affected. China is affected. There's a differential already created. All things add up. I mean, people don't understand this. Right. That's what it is for the day. Thanks, a whole lot of you attended. I've done 2 subjects, just sort of fancy. I actually prepared for Iran. Today whole day I spent reading about tariffs and all, trade and all. I said I'll do it. I hope you found it good. If you liked it, like I said, press the like button, join as a member, subscribe to Ganashot, what have you. We'll talk tomorrow about CHN. We'll take a break from all this, go to CHN. Till then, good evening and Jai Hind to all of you.